Hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. Just out here in New York enjoying the nice cold weather.
My God, that's so fun. I am from the Midwest and we got like a huge snowstorm, but I live in LA now, so I missed it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm from Texas and so luckily I haven't been there in a while, but yeah, missed that snowstorm too, which was pretty bad.
I grew up in Ohio and I feel like they say it's nice weather in the
Uh,
Midwest, but it's literally snow like 9 months out of the year.
yeah,
And then the thing about California is like it's nice, but it's also not rainy, which I don't like the rain more than I don't like the snow.
right.
So you are obviously involved in so many aspects of the industry. I'm going to give my listeners your full portfolio so they can see everything that you are involved in, but I want to talk about acting real quick because that's something that you've kind of been in since you were much younger, even though you
Yeah,
are still young.
right.
So speaking to acting specifically, you've been in a ton of stuff. Like Spy Kids is what you got your start in, and then you were in Grow Up Tony Phillips, It's Always Sunny, West Michigan, The Accountant, and Runt, which we'll talk about a little bit. But I want to know, like, of these projects, which one was the most impactful to you in your personal life and career wise?
Yeah, totally. For that, even though I love all those projects, definitely, and they've all like played some sort of role in my life at some point. But uh, in terms of the biggest impact, The Accountant probably definitely take that place. Not only was it a great sort of step in the right direction for my career in acting, but the director Gavin O'Connor, he sort of took me behind the stages of the directing process. So he sort of took me along like post production. I got to see all that stuff, and that sort of lit the match for like my passion for behind the camera work, directing, writing, all that stuff. So I definitely give him huge credit for that. And he also played a role in getting me into Ghetto Film School, which I know we'll talk about later as well. And yeah, but in terms, yeah, it just was a crazy experience. Very thankful that I got to do that. And yeah, it was awesome because for studying that role, I definitely learned a lot about the spectrum and everything. I got to hang out with kids on the spectrum, and I just learned so much in my personal life. I just got to learn and grow so much. I just was really thankful for that.
Yeah, I think that that's important, especially when you're so young in the industry, having experiences like that you can
Hmm.
kind of take with you into your personal life.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of times, especially people that I talk to who are older and have kind of been through this for years, they have those experiences and then that is kind of what they build their career off of, making sure that projects that they do in the future have an impact.
yeah,
Um,
definitely. Yeah, totally. It's
and
it's about for that role, definitely and what I learned from acting and for that project is definitely just, like handle each character very carefully and delicately. Treat it as if it's someone like it's a beautiful thing to create your own character. So do it in the best way learn, study, and do what you can to make it the best you can ever do. And so yeah.
yeah, I agree. And obviously, when you're so young, you have to kind of sometimes take projects to get the experience that might not
Hmm.
have that social impact.
Right.
But being able to have that at such a young age already in your portfolio is really impressive. And
Thank
you've
you.
also worked with, I mean, aside from social impact, which is so important, I think what's really notable is that you're so young and you've worked with pretty big names in the industry already. I mean, first of all, not to age myself, but like Spy Kids was a movie that I grew up with just in
Right.
general. So to have that as your starting point is pretty epic. And then working with people like Ben Affleck, like Cameron Boyce, who we'll talk about. I mean, that in its own is great experience to have. So your future projects don't seem as massive, right?
Right.
Talking about these names and projects that you've done recently, your most recent credit, because of COVID, I'm sure, is Runt, which is a 2020 film. And
Hmm.
it is to note that in that film you worked with Cameron Boyce. So do you have anything, that you want to note about him or about that experience in general, being that it was in 2020 when it came out and the world was a little bit different then?
Definitely, yeah. It is crazy because it just hit the year mark when there was the premiere at Mammoth Film Festival. So definitely been reminiscing about that. And that was like the last thing I ever did before the world just went into complete chaos. But yeah, for filming Runt, Cameron was such a special soul. Not only was he full of talent and ambition, but he just was so incredibly kind. And he cared for those around him, no matter how close he was with them. He cared for them no matter what. And so yeah, he just, oh my god, incredible kid. I'm not sure I'm able to share so much about the project, where it stands right now, what's going to happen to it. But in terms of having some sort of special memory from it, definitely Cameron and my dad bonding over the Lakers was really cool to see. I was shooting a scene, and then I came into the little green room area, and they were just like chatting it up, and I don't know, it was a very wholesome experience for me. And so that I will hold dearly in my heart. And also for Cam, it was really crazy because my sister was his publicist, so I kind of knew about Cam from her perspective, and it was just like, there's a lot of anticipation because I was like, oh, I'm gonna meet Cameron, and like I've heard so many great things from my sister about him, and she's like, oh, you guys are gonna get along so well, and so there definitely was an expectation, and then that expectation was not only met, but it succeeded all those expectations, and so we miss Cameron dearly. Check out the Cameron Boys Foundation if you haven't already. Please do.
Yeah, I'll link that too in the show notes because I think that that's important. But
yes,
if there's one thing, obviously getting to work on any set, being an actor in general, and having the opportunity to do what you love and act is so important. And then working with names like Cameron, which, for those listening who don't know, obviously Cam passed away, but more than that, he, very similar to you, got his start when he was young, and kind of had experiences with big names just like you did. And I think kind of getting to have somebody in your group or that you're close to that you can talk to about those type of experiences is really important just for your personal growth and your growth within the industry. So it's great that you kind of got to experience that before, unfortunately it was taken away.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there was so much that you learned on that set, but I am like a little bit curious. On your website, you highlight stunting and your stunt experience, which I think is something that might surprise listeners and viewers of yours. So what is it about stunts that intrigues you? And is there like a stunt that you've done that has been your favorite?
Yeah, totally. Well, so for some background, I started acting and doing martial arts at the same exact time because my dad's friend, Ernie Reyes Jr., who's in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, he sort of was like the person who pushed me into this direction. And so he was a martial artist, actor sort of thing. And so from day one of acting, I was also sharing the stunt experience, I guess. And so through my career, those two have played hand in hand quite well. So something I'm very familiar with. And what it is about stunts, specifically being an actor who can do his own stunts, it's really cool because I feel like it adds a certain level, like a deeper level of realism when doing these roles. Just because even though like it, done right, done properly, it won't. The audience hopefully can't see that there's a stunt person involved. But when you go back and you look on IMDb and it says, oh yeah, the actor was doing their stunts. I think that just adds like a certain level of like, oh, that's that's cooler. You know what I mean? So it's just really fun to add that extra level of realism and to hopefully, it's also a great form of just keeping in shape and just keeping up with it while doing something I enjoy. I learned from Mike Chat XMA, and he has helped me very much in not only in the stunt career but also in acting. So shout out to him. Yeah, in terms of the favorite stunt, let's see. Well, I think in terms of training, we would do high falls a lot. We'd go up a ladder and just like jump. And actually, at my old house, we had a roof and like a pool, and I would just jump into the pool like from my roof and like do special stuff into it. So I know that's not really a stunt, but it's kind of the same training. In terms of on-screen stunts, though, not involving training, definitely the fight scenes from The Accountant, the one in Indonesia, was probably my favorite very like gritty, very like real like fights. You know what I mean? It wasn't like crazy Hollywood action blockbuster fight scenes. It was very like, close contact, and it just, I don't know, it was really cool. It was a different style of martial arts and that I'm used to. So it was cool learning that a little bit for the Indonesian fight scene. Yeah, anyways, stunts and acting have helped each other quite immensely.
It's like you said, when you hear that an actor does his own stunts, it almost like makes them cooler. I was recently talking to a special effects master, and he was saying when he worked on Shanghai Noon that Jacky Chan does his own stunts, and a lot of people think that he doesn't, but he does. And I think when you hear that, it is what you're saying. We already love him as an actor, and now we're hearing that he really does do his own stunts. So working with these names, getting these roles, and practicing to set yourself up for your potential future in the industry to do amazing fight scenes and different stunts,
Oh, totally. Yeah. The stunt coordinator, Sam Hargrave, also highly credited in the industry. It was great learning from him. And yeah, he's such a cool guy. I need to hit him up soon. But yeah, he just did, what was it? Extraction with Chris Hemsworth. He's been involved in like the Avengers, like that Marvel crowd, and like doing stunts for them. So it was really cool learning under his wing, I guess. And yeah, such a cool guy. But Ben was also great. Again, it's kind of going back to what I was saying earlier about like the caring and doing something really beautiful with creating character. It's just like that extra little push, that makes it a little bit more special and a little bit more you when you're creating these characters. So I don't know. Yeah, lovely experience.
I said in my first question, and I continue to say that you're involved in so many aspects, right? Like acting, stunt work, and you're involved as well in writing and filmmaking, which we'll talk about. But people listening might not know how young you actually are when we're talking about how much you're involved in. I mean, you are only 18. And that's pretty crazy how much you've done in such a short life already. You've pitched to huge networks. You've pitched to FX. You've pitched to NBC Universal. What are those experiences like walking into a room of like execs and being so young and really wanting to come off professional and have them take your work seriously?
Yeah, well, definitely shout out to Ghetto Film School for sort of easing me into that experience, because there it was like kind of a daily occurrence that we do pitching and whatnot. So thankfully I had a little bit more confidence and comfortability going into these pitches. But yeah, I mean, with the FX, with pitching to FX, even though not much sort of followed up, like the show wasn't made or whatever, it was just such a great learning experience. I mean, just to have those ears listen to my ideas that came from my head. I mean, when you think about it like that, it's just like crazy, you know what I mean? Especially because at the time I was 15, 16, I think. So, it was just really, really wild. It was so incredible just to be able to go and say, hey, I did that, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, it definitely helped me also sort of just be ready for the next thing. Anything can happen at any time. So it's just kind of like always got to be on your toes. Make sure that you're ready for any situation because anything can happen. I mean, truly. So, just learning to get more comfortable with those kind of conversations and really getting to connect with these people. I think that's another big thing I learned is, at the end of the day, a pitch room, while scary on paper, honestly, you're just having a conversation with people. You know what I mean? It's what we're doing now. It's what you're doing when you go grab a cup of coffee with a friend, even though there's stakes involved,
right.
At the end of the day, you're just having a conversation. It's just a very beautiful, intimate thing that you're having. So yeah, definitely that was a big key into doing later pitches and now like working on this TV show that I'm writing and just being comfortable with like going around and like talking about it to other people.
So during your time at Ghetto Film School, what types of things did you learn? What was the best lesson that they taught you? Because, a lot of people who aren't in the industry and listening, who are just fans of yours or listen to my show, might not really know what goes into teachings like that or schooling like that. And even I, who am semi-familiar with it, didn't know that you had lessons on pitching, which is amazing. I mean, that sets you up for success right there. But what other things did you learn that have really impacted you in a positive way?
Whoosh, so much. I mean, that was a 3-year experience for me. And, I learned from a bunch of different people. I learned from Bruce Block, who's a professor at USC, I believe. They sent us out to NYU, Montclair State. And so we learned from a bunch of different people. So I could sit here and talk just about that for like 5 hours. So it's hard to nail down just one thing, but I think what I find myself constantly doing, because I think it plays into anything creatively, is don't be afraid of what you might think is a bad idea. All ideas have to be developed. All ideas can be developed in something way better than you might think. So just don't be afraid to trust your instincts and just let it guide you and let those ideas form naturally, because that will happen no matter what. I'm writing. I'm sure I'll talk about this in a second, but there's this TV show that I've been making with my friends, and so we have daily meetings and whatnot, and we just sometimes we'll just sit around and just spitball ideas, and it's like a snowball effect where it just like it rolls down the mountain and just comes into something bigger and more massive. So yeah, definitely just trust those bad ideas, because there's no such thing as a bad idea, because it will be developed into something better. I think that also just goes into, it goes into acting too. It goes to any, creative outlet. I think it can even go into daily life stuff. Just don't be afraid of those bad ideas.
That's a really good piece of advice, because I think a lot of times people, kind of psych themselves out of a good idea because they think maybe it's not there yet. And
right.
This is so random, but it actually is a really good point. You saying that one of the most iconic Halloween Christmas movies is The Nightmare Before Christmas, right? And I don't know if you know the story behind it, but Tim Burton, who we all assume created the movie because it's his style.
Wasn't him.
It wasn't him.
It wasn't him.
Well, it was his idea, but Disney said, no, this is way too dark of a movie. And they kind of kicked him out. They had him there like for 2 days, kind of giving insight. And then the movie exploded. They turned down his idea. And it ended up being one of the highest grossing movies that is claymation, which is what he does. And then they had to go back and kind of credit him later, after the fact. And I just think that's kind of speaking to your point, because even somebody like him who had so many ideas and successes under his belt, maybe just pitched to the wrong people. Maybe they just weren't ready for that idea. Doesn't mean the idea was bad. It obviously was great, but it needed a little bit of working and tweaking. And just as you're saying, even ideas that are outlandish a little bit can be worked and be made successful. So I think that's totally a really good point. And why would you ever give up the opportunity to share an idea? Even you, when you're 15 and you're pitching to huge people, you don't know if they're going to pick up your idea, but you take the opportunity, right? Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. If you fail, that in itself is a lesson, you know what I mean? I think for anyone listening, no screenplay, nothing like that ever makes one draft and then it's done, right? It's always developing. So again, that's what I'm saying is just like, you have to, learn from what you already know. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay. Just keep going. As corny as that may sound, there's a lot to learn by failing. And that truly, that goes for honestly anything. You can find that being the solution for just about anything that you find in your daily life.
You right now are kind of talking about the show that you're writing with your friends. And I'm curious, obviously you did Runt, and then COVID happened and everything kind of shut down, and the industry is a crazy place right now to be in. But how are you staying creative? How are you getting those ideas flowing during this time, even though things are slowly kind of going back to normal at this point? What are you doing to stay creative?
I definitely have been experimenting in different art forms. In terms of directing, like I've sort of been teasing, there's a TV show concept that I have been making with my friends from Ghetto Film School. Alejandro Ayala, King Cloma, Krishna Rowdy, Julia Song. Just want to shout them out real quick. We have been working for about a year and a half now We started the idea before COVID, and then when COVID happened, we're like, what's this going to do for the TV show? And eventually we sort of just figured out a way around it. Zoom calls, whatnot. I know everyone's probably so tired of Zoom. But we found a way to work around it. And so that's been like very consistent for the last year and a half. And we're shooting a short film, hopefully soon, sometime in the summer, sort of like a, the conceptual like idea, I guess, like putting it into a format where people can, consume it and digest it, and then maybe want to give us money to make the TV show. That'd be the goal. But outside of that, a bunch of different things. I mean, acting auditions are coming through, taped auditions. I have a great team, so luckily I've been getting really good auditions. Also, more behind the camera stuff, sometimes I'll just pick up my camera and go test out new stuff. I have VHS cameras, I have film cameras, been testing different formats for that, getting different rigs and seeing what, that does, writing short films and whatnot. I haven't shot any of those short films yet, but would like to soon. Also, I play guitar as well. I've only been doing that for like 3 years though. So I've been definitely, during lockdown, it's been more, I've learned more the guitar and whatnot, and just music in general. I've always had fascination with music, but through lockdown, it definitely has just become a deeper, personal, intimate relationship with music.
So just kind of using this time to maybe define some different crafts and walk out of it with more than you walked into it with. That's a great way to kind of look at the pandemic. I think a lot of creatives are doing that. I mean, you have to, or else you're going to come out of this and be like rusty.
Yeah, exactly. I know a lot of people who say we're doing music and now they're painting, you know what I mean? Like they just sort of like developed in something else. And I don't know, it's just all about experimentation. That is a lesson I will hold dearly after COVID, if there is such thing.
Yeah, right. So besides your show and all these new skills you're learning, what is something positive that you can share with us just to end out the segment? Is there anything cool happening in your life or in the industry that you want to talk about?
Movie theaters opening up in LA, which they're open in a few different places, but LA is happening this week. I think it's this week, right?
I think so.
That is crazy. It's really funny because for a while now, a lot of people have been like, movie theaters are gonna die out, and I have always been like, no, that's stupid. That's not gonna happen. Like, that's not gonna happen. And it truly shows, because I think, obviously anything can happen, but if they're able to reopen, like, you know what I mean, like it through this like tough of a time, then movie theaters always gonna be around. There's nothing that can stop it. I mean, while streaming services are getting crazy, I mean, you got HBO Max, you got all these platforms, you got Netflix, blah blah blah. There's just something special and different about a movie theater. I mean, it's a completely different experience. I think there will always be enough people to cherish a movie theater, where it stays alive. And so thankfully, they're slowly getting back to business. Sure, not at the same capacity, but still awesome that I will have a chance to go to the movie theater soon. That is definitely something I'm very happy about the world right now.
Yeah. Like right before COVID happened, John Krasinski released A Quiet Place. Yep. And I saw it in theaters, and that movie defines for me.
Wait, the second one or the first one?
The first one.
Okay.
And that defines to me why movie theaters will never die, because I remember that. And like, think about your childhood too. Like, you have so many memories at the movie theater. I mean, this is so nerdy, but last night I was like watching the Harry Potter movie marathon, and I vividly remember going with my family when the movies came out to see them in the theaters. And when A Quiet Place came out, you were sitting there with everybody, experiencing that with everybody. And that film is practically silent. So you're in the theater, nobody's making a noise. And then you watch it at home and it's a whole different experience, which is why the second one, he's pushed it back so many times, because I think he really was waiting for theaters to open so you could have that experience. But you're totally right. I mean, we took it for granted. And now after a year of not being able to be around strangers when we watch movies, we're really looking forward to it. Even people who aren't in the industry miss that kind of community. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember watching Quiet Place and I was like, I am so uncomfortable to eat any sort of food right now. Like I was like, I think I watched the second time and I was like, I went with friends and I was like, do not grab snacks. Just
Yeah,
don't do it.
no.
Just don't do it. It's really uncomfortable. You were saying
That's so
Harry Potter.
funny.
You were talking about Harry Potter Marathon. What's your favorite?
Oh my God. Don't put me on the spot like
See,
that. No.
okay, look. I think there is a clear answer and it's Goblet of Fire. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's the best one.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was going to say Prisoner of Azkaban. Are you kidding?
Robert Pattinson was too good in Goblet of Fire. I don't know what you're talking about. What?
Oh God. Well, okay. It's a good one. It's hard. I'm a very big Harry Potter fan, so it's really hard for me to like pick
Fair.
which one's my favorite. But I will say that Harry Potter World, the Wizarding World, was like the experience I was so excited for when I moved out here, and it's taking so long for it to reopen.
I think they're opening up in April though, right?
I don't know. I don't know if they are. I know that Disney is.
Yeah.
But I don't know about Universal. So we'll see. But that is like number one for me. When it's open, I'm buying tickets. I will take work off to go. Like I'm just ready.
Good. Yeah, no, it definitely is a fun time. I went like one of the first few weeks that it like opened up here, and it was obviously like everyone was trying to go.
Yeah.
But they had a lot of problems. So I don't know if you know or like heard about it, but like there was a lot of times that the ride would just glitch out and everyone would get stuck. That happened to me. I went 3 times. It probably happened twice each time I did like a run on it.
Which
and it was
ride?
just like the main one, not like they have like two. They have like the main one and they have like a kiddie roller coaster, but like the main one was like always bugging out.
Weird.
On like the rooms.
Yeah, I've never been to the one out here, but I lived in Florida when the one in Florida opened up, and I went, and there weren't any issues, but I feel like out here the rides are a little bit different, so I'm not sure. But the ride that's in Hogwarts, that's like that Soarin' style ride where you like get lifted up and it's a projection. Chef's kiss.
That's what it is.
Chef's kiss. Like I wouldn't even mind getting stuck.
Definitely though, Transformers, that ride is not my favorite at Universal. I think that one is easily avoidable, in my opinion.
Oh Lord, we can't even get into that because I'm from Ohio and we have Cedar Point, which has some of the most iconic roller coasters in the US. So I am very interested in seeing what's out here. I've heard that you guys have really good amusement parks, and I'm so excited for things. I just in general can't wait for things to open back up. My sister and I were talking about what we're most excited to do post pandemic. Right. What is like the number one thing that you're looking forward to? To me, I just want to sit in a coffee shop that has people in it. That's all I want. Yeah,
there's nothing like a coffee shop. I think live music and Rocky Horror Picture Show, those two for me are like, which is weird because Rocky Horror Picture Show is kind of like live music, I guess. Yeah. But I think there's nothing that I'm like craving more than like a concert. Before the pandemic, that was the thing that I did every year. Like I'd save all my money to go to a festival. Yeah. And so this year I'm like, God, I can't even go sit in a bar and listen to somebody play the guitar. It's so hard. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I know Texas is doing live music right now, which I mean, of course they are, but you know. No, we love Texas. We love Texas. Yeah. Anyways, it has been such a pleasure to have you. I would love for you to tell everybody where they can find you and find your work. Yes. So my Instagram is SethLee01. That is my Instagram. Twitter is Super Seth Lee, I think. And then let's see. Watch West Michigan on April 13th. You can pre-order it right now. In fact, pre-order is better because you get it as soon as it comes out. You don't got to worry about it. So go ahead and do that. It's on Amazon Prime, iTunes, all that good stuff. Just stay tuned on my Instagram. I got a couple different projects that I'm hopefully going to be posting soon. So yeah, that is all I have to share. Well, I will link all of that below as well as your IMDb because you have a lot of credits, and I'll link your website too in case people want to get in contact with you or find out more about you. Megan, it has been a great time. Thank you for inviting me on the show.